$8 in shipping fees. Just talked someone into spending 20. You're on your phone in the Target parking lot, engine off, groceries already loaded, and you open a shopping app for one thing, a phone charger, 12 bucks. Cart total, $42. And right above the checkout button, a little gray bar. Spend $8 more for free shipping. Not a coupon, not a sale, a number telling you exactly how far you are from a finish line you didn't know existed 30 seconds ago. So you start scrolling. A phone case you don't need, a pack of socks you already own 5 of. You land on a $9 candle, add it, hit checkout, and feel something close to relief, like you just won something. You paid $51 to avoid paying $8. Nobody made you do the math wrong. You did it on purpose, in real time, and it still felt smart. That's the mechanism we're breaking down. Not why you overspend in general, but why a shipping fee specifically can talk you into buying stuff you don't want in under 60 seconds and walk away feeling like you saved money. Here's the obvious layer first. That shipping fee feels different than the price of the charger. The charger's price is baked into the deal. You expected to pay for a charger. The shipping fee shows up separate at the end, like a tax you weren't warned about. And separate fees hurt more than the same amount folded into a bigger number. This is what researchers call the pain of paying, Prelec and Lowenstein, 1998. The idea that a cost hurts based on how visible and isolated it feels, not just how big it is. An $8 line item sitting by itself in checkout registers as a loss. An extra $9 folded into your total the second you add the candle barely registers at all. Same wallet, same math, completely different feeling. Underneath that is something stranger. The shipping fee doesn't feel part of the purchase, it feels optional. A toll you're being charged for the privilege of getting your stuff delivered, when getting it delivered was the whole point of shopping online in the first place. And because it feels optional, not paying it feels like a small win instead of just not spending extra money. You're not comparing $8 against $0. You're comparing $8 against the version of yourself who beat the system. Nobody frames buying a candle you don't need as beating anything, but paying a shipping fee, that feels like losing to the retailer. So you'll spend real dollars just to avoid the feeling of losing 8 fake ones. And here's where it gets unfair, in the actual legal-sounding sense of the word. There's a concept called dual entitlement. Kahneman, Netsch, and Thaler laid this out back in 1986. Basically, people judge a price change by whether it feels justified, not just by the number. A retailer charging you $8 to ship a $42 order feels like they're taking something from you that should have been included. But a retailer saying, spend $50 and it's free, doesn't feel like a punishment. It feels like a deal you get to win. So the exact same $8 outcome gets processed 2 completely different ways, depending on how it's framed. One way feels like getting robbed. The other way feels like you outsmarted the store. You didn't. You just bought a candle. Now here's the part almost nobody talks about, and it's the one that actually costs you the most money over a year, not just $8 at a time. When a retailer removes the shipping fee or makes you feel like you dodged it, your brain quietly downgrades how risky the whole purchase feels. Researchers studying this have pointed out that free shipping doesn't just change what you buy, it changes how carefully you think about buying it. Lower perceived cost, lower perceived risk, and lower risk means you say yes faster and think less. That's a big part of why return rates on free shipping orders run higher than paid shipping orders. You bought the version of the shirt you weren't sure about, the size you were guessing on, the candle scent you've never smelled, because the whole transaction felt low stakes. It wasn't low stakes. You just felt that way for about 4 seconds at checkout, and that feeling is exactly what got monetized. So, add it up. The fee feels isolated and painful on its own, which makes you want to erase it. Erasing it feels like winning instead of just spending, because the whole thing is framed as a deal instead of a cost. And once you're in I'm winning mode, your guard drops on everything else in that cart, including the size you guessed on and the color you're not sure about. That's 4 separate psychological levers, all pulled by one gray progress bar, and you never once felt like you were being sold to. This isn't really a shipping problem, it's a control problem. You're handing the moment where you decide what you actually need over to a number the retailer picked, usually set a little above what people already spend, on purpose, so it's just close enough to feel reachable. You didn't choose $50 as your threshold for a good purchase. Somebody in a pricing meeting did, and you adopted it as your own rule in under a minute, standing in a parking lot. So, next time you're at that screen, the charger in your cart, the bar creeping towards some invisible finish line, before you add anything to close the gap, do this one thing. Stop scrolling for the filler item. Instead, open a new tab and search that exact filler item, the candle, the socks, whatever you are about to toss in, at full price, on its own, with shipping included. Look at that number by itself, no progress bar next to it, no "you're so close" nudge. If you'd still buy it at that price, standing alone with nothing else in the cart, buy it. If you wouldn't, close the tab, pay the $8, and let the charger ship by itself. That's it. One test. Not 3 steps, not a rule for every purchase for the rest of your life, just one pause at one screen where you ask the item to justify itself without the discount and without the fake finish line propping it up. Here's where you'll catch yourself this week, and it'll probably happen on your phone, not your laptop. You'll be adding something small to a cart, doesn't matter what, and a little bar or a little line of text will tell you exactly how many dollars stand between you and free shipping. That number is doing a job. Its job is to turn "I need one thing" into "I'm $8 from a deal." The second you see that bar move, that's the moment. Not later, not next time you feel like impulse buying. That exact bar on that exact screen this week. Free shipping was never free. You just paid for it with something else. So, next time that bar shows up on your screen, be honest. What's the last thing you added to a cart just to make that number disappear? If this is the first video of mine you've watched, there's a whole channel built on exactly this, the psychology behind why decent incomes still feel broke.